Goodness comes and evil goes.
Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Karibu, welcome. My name is Kwende, and today we're going to get into another important subject, and that subject is Marcus Garvey, exceptional institutional builder. Institutions have been with African souls from the earliest of times, from the beginning, the dawn of the journey of this primary people of creation. The institutions are not necessarily places or buildings. What an institution represents is the substance of functioning, the order, the mission, the structure of things, and the relations that African souls have to enable collective functioning to take place. So all of these things can be housed in a building or can be activated in a building, brought to fruition in a building, but it is the order and the engagement in the designated roles and responsibilities that allows an institution to be and allows an institution to flourish. So you may have an institution of learning. You may have an institution of service provision of some other description. You may have an institution of the living self, like the harmonious and complementary union between the African man and the African woman. Some people might refer to that as being marriage. So institutions are part of life's functioning, and especially so in African life's functioning. And Marcus Garvey understood and knew that. He carried living knowingness of that during his physical lifespan. Demonstrated that in exceptional ways in his physical lifespan. And of course, the institutionalized functioning of the Garvey movement itself, the living legacy of that. But let us take just a few moments to hear what Garvey articulated in expression of his wisdom in relation to African institutions. And he says the following: in our present civilization, no society would be considered functioning properly if such institutions did not exist. Therefore, it is necessary for the African to pay attention to developing the appreciation for institutional life. It is not necessary or binding that he copies completely the systems, method, or manners of these institutions, and he's speaking of foreign ones, of course, except insofar as they go to help him promote a higher life and in accomplishing the most out of this organized society. It is incumbent upon him that he also have and control his own institutions based upon his own cultural and civilized idealism. As for instance, he may have his own place of worship, but it is not necessary for him to adopt the peculiar articles of faith of the churches of other races. So These are the words then of Marcus Garvey in relation to institutional building. And let us take heed as African souls throughout the world and purposefully and intentionally formalize institutions that are so necessary for us to engage in progressively as African souls. So the institution of the person's self is of vital meaning to African life. The institution of the union of the African man and the African woman in harmonious complementarity. The institutions that function to make real African community, the institutions that function to make real African nationhood, the institutions that function to make real the African world community. And each of these levels are certainly not mutually exclusive, but each has its own fundamental base from which African life can amplify itself into global functioning. So with that food for thought, and surely it is food for thought, Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi, Kimunga Ukumbozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth.
The cry is raised all over the world of Canada for the Canadians, of America for the Americans, of England for the English, of France for the French, of Germany for the Germans. Do you think it unreasonable that we, the blacks of the world, should raise the cry of Africa for the Africans?